did. In June of 2008, he was the host of The Morning Show. In November 2010, the Village Voice named him the city's best newspaper columnist and radio talk show host in America. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts from Harvard, a Master's from Yale, and a Juris degree from Brooklyn Law School. Talkers Magazine named him Heavy 100, the top talk show host in America, not once, but twice, Mr. Errol Lewis.
And I want to thank a couple of people first. Pat Foy left, but I got a chance to talk with him. I'd known him in a different capacity, and I think he's a good man. You guys, I think, are going to have a good chance to excel with him. Ralph Tregali, who got me here this morning. Where's Ralph? Thanks a lot. I was told I should talk to you very briefly, and I will be very brief. And they said I should say something inspiring. And I told my wife, who says hello to you. My wife used to work at the Port Authority, Juanita Scarlett. I told her, I said, well, they're going to inspire me, because I love being around groups like this. My dad was civil service. My dad was a police officer in the NYPD for over 30 years. My sister was a detective, so I come from a public service family. I got uncles who were on the job and so forth, and there's a truth to the importance of the work that you do that I have tried, I'm sure you have tried, to convey to some of the younger people. I have been completely unsuccessful in trying to knock my nephews upside the head and tell them, read the chief, take the civil service exam, take the next one after you fail the first one, take the one after that, and keep taking them. I mean, one of my memories of growing up was my dad and his friends, the same guys who would play basketball on the weekend or play cards, sitting around our dining room table with a bunch of books open, studying for the next test. And it seemed like it went on forever, but it really paid off. Let me just mention a couple of different things, and I want to try to convey what inspires me. The thing that I love to hear, that gets me going and gets me up in the morning, is to be reminded of information that I already have and have somebody help put it in some context for me and lead me the next couple of steps to show me what I can do with that information. And so I'm going to try and do that for you. And I do this nightly. I try to do this nightly on New York One on my show Inside City Hall, which I hope you all watch. Those of you who live in the 5 boroughs and have cable. Doing all kinds of stuff. And if they tear him up, you know, maybe you can handle it better, but I don't think so. And so it might be best to get on board. It might be, just a suggestion. The other thing I'd like to say to you, unity is not unanimity. It doesn't take 100%. Unity doesn't mean 100%. It doesn't always mean 100%. A lot of times I know folk get discouraged, or they get, why can't we do this? Either as an organization, as a people, as a group, as a voting bloc. It doesn't take 100%. You have to know where you're going and all agree to go there. And it's sort of like a family on a vacation, right? Somebody wants to go to the museum, somebody wants to go to the beach, somebody wants to go to the movies. You'll work it out. It'll still be a nice vacation. Where you all are going, and I have belonged to and spoken to and watched and reported on organizations just like this for many years. You all are going in a good direction. I can see that just from the numbers of people who are here. Just from the fact that there's no faction fight going on. I've gone to organizations, like employee groups, where they were in the middle of a massive fight while I was there trying to talk to them. I don't see that going on here, and so you're way ahead of the game. Let me just say that. Wow. Let me say a couple of things, though, about broader politics, because this is what I follow, and that is my passion, and that is what I do. You probably know this if you've been following what's in the newspapers, but I'm going to put it to you in a way that maybe you haven't heard it before. The rights revolution of the last 50-odd years is under severe attack right now. The civil rights movement, human rights movement, these are the things that Dr. King's movement gave birth to, right? The Southern-led civil rights movement, gave rise as well and fuel and passion and direction and strategy to an anti-war movement, to an environmental movement, to the women's rights movement, to the prisoners' rights movement. All of this flowed out of what started off on some dusty roads in the South, and all of it is under attack. And that is one of the central driving factors of today's politics. I talked about this this week with an author of a book called The Age of Austerity, who has a very gloomy outlook, saying there's going to be a lot more of this fighting because this rights revolution has been under attack since the moment it came into being with Dr. King. And the fight continues under slightly different names. And so let me mention the third thing to you. The attack on public service, I would suggest to you, in many cases, is a thinly disguised attack on the rights revolution. In other words, when folks say, we need to cut back on public services, government is spending too much money, well, who are they talking about? Who disproportionately fills those public service slots? Who disproportionately gets some of those services? Who are the people who rely on a strong federal government, for example, to safeguard their rights? And so the politics of it are starting to ramp up, and they're starting to get very urgent. And I would suggest to all of you that you keep a close eye on this. That, again, when people are talking about public service, they're not always talking about what you think they're talking about, or it may not be exactly as it first appears. Just as in Dr. King's age, people would say, well, this isn't about race. This isn't about discrimination. This is about states' rights. Well, over time that came to be seen as a coded version of a very different agenda. So sometimes things are coded, sometimes things are not clear. I would suggest to you that in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases, the attack on the public sector and on public sector workers is a coded attack on something else. And I believe that the rights revolution, as this author I interviewed the other day suggested, is really what the target is. So be aware, be awake, keep an eye on it. And here's the good news. Just as you say in your theme for this morning's breakfast, there is strength in unity. Again, not unanimity, but unity. Everybody on roughly the same page, going in generally the same direction. And the really good news is that you all are in an extraordinary place. I don't know if you I hope you fully realize how extraordinary it is. In this information age, it's also an urban age. There was a little headline that passed just a couple of years ago. For the first time in human history, there are more people now living in cities, meaning metropolitan areas, than not. It's never happened before, in human history. So cities everywhere are where the future of human civilization is going. It seems clear. And you all are the people who make the cities go. You all know how to run the large, complex transportation operations, every aspect of it, that enable this city and this region to function. There's nothing else like it in this country. This is going to be increasingly true all around the world. You have skills, you have the insight, you have the experience to know where our, not just the American society, but human civilization is headed. And you've got to understand that, and you've got to realize it, and you've got to treasure it, and you've got to hang on to it. There are any number of fields, I don't know if this is going to be one of them, but there are any number of fields where folk look at it, size it up, realize how important it is, and then all of a sudden, everything changes. All of a sudden, the barriers to entry start popping up. All of a sudden, barriers to promotion start appearing. All of a sudden, the financial basis of it starts to be reconceived. All of a sudden, everything gets yanked out from under you. And it's important that that not happen here. You all have built and run and maintained this city in ways that are so very important, are going to continue to be important, are going to be more important. As I've done some of the studies, not just on the World Trade Center site, but you think about the East Side access, the expansion over to the West Side. Billions and billions of dollars are being invested in the transportation infrastructure of this particular region. You all are part of it. You're going to be building a new bridge and everything else, the upgrading of the airports. And that's for someone to inherit. That someone should be your children, our children. That someone should be our communities. And making sure that that happens, that's all up to you. And so let me close on this. There is a story I heard from Governor Patterson. He used to tell it often. He told it to me multiple times before he became governor. He told it to me multiple times after he became governor. And it was of the building of Hartsfield Airport in Atlanta, and how Maynard Jackson, who was then the mayor of Atlanta, called in lots and lots of people and paid a heavy political price by saying, this is going to be done with full equity, full participation. This is going to be something that's never been done, especially in the South, but it is going to happen, or I will hold up every contract that I have to until it does happen. And so on employment contracts, on the building contracts, on everything else, he held the line. Again, he paid a tremendous price for it politically, but he made it happen. And Atlanta has never been the same. And so, you all know, the census figures confirm it. There have been a lot of folks moving from New York down to Charlotte, down to Atlanta, finding all kinds of opportunity. It gave birth to an entire class of people down there who are homeowners, who are stable, who are raising stable families, who are, in my opinion, heroes. The people who sort of get up and just pay their bills, raise their families, and make the system go. Folk just like you. He made all of that happen. And again, paid a tremendous political price. So is Maynard Jackson, is he a Martin Luther King? No. Is he just as important as a Martin Luther King? I would say yes. I would say the same for any number of people who don't necessarily end up on a calendar, don't end up having a postage stamp or a day named after them, but who are vitally, vitally important. And I would say that each and every one of you fall in that category. And something I heard the president say when I was following him around in 2007, I was actually following around in a long time ago, back in 2004, when I was following him around. He would talk to children and he would say, picture yourself doing the greatest thing in the world. And I found that just a very sensible piece of advice. Picture yourself doing the greatest thing in the world, and then figure out the steps that it takes to get there. And it made sense for him. It sure worked out for him. It's going to work out for any number of kids that he has talked to. I found, even in my 40s, hearing that, I was like, I haven't done that lately. Picture yourself doing the greatest thing in the world that would make you the happiest person, that would get you up early in the morning and keep you up late and make a lot of other people happy, and then take a step towards that. Because I think we've all figured out that trying to do everything all on the first day can burn you out, can discourage you, can make it seem like it was all just a dream, and then you go back to whatever you were doing. The good news, of course, is that you can do it step by step. You can do it all at the same time, generally. Again, unity, not unanimity. And you have a great legacy that you've already begun to build, that your kids are going to be incredibly proud of when they grow up and start to realize what you did, how you're doing it, and what we can do together in the future. So with that, let me say congratulations and thanks for having me.